The story was inspired by J.D. Salinger's The Catcher in the Rye, which was one of the landmark favorites of the young baby boomer generation, where protagonist Holden Caulfield assigns himself the role of a catcher to prevent his compeers from falling into the abyss of adulthood. The perspective he viewed as quite dubious and even frustrating. In my story, the heroes try to reverse Caulfield's world outlook, striving to dive into the adventurous time travel toward childhood. Unaware of the outcome, which in both cases is doomed to fail once you go against Mother Nature. The idea is based on a spontaneous attempt by three friends to imitate the realization of their childhood dream to replicate heroic Kentucky voyage across the Pacific, once ventured by the famous traveler ethnographer Thor Heyerdahl. The dream has been warming their hearts and feeding their childhood memories for over 3 decades, as they had pledged to stay as a group forever. The question is, will these daring actions support a solution to their ongoing problems or not? Will it avert loneliness and lead to life changes they need, want, or seek so much? Gino's vagabond lifestyle and constantly repeated process of adjustment to different cultures and being on edge every time he undertakes a new adventure turns him into a lone wolf. His relations with people around him fall apart due to the loss of sense of compromise, understanding, and even honesty. To live the life he led until now was nothing more than an attempt to survive by employing even undesirable methods. Several unsuccessful affairs that could have ended this tiring and nerve-wracking journey evaporated, leaving nothing more than emotional scars and distress. Withdrawn and enclosed in his own shell, he feels abandoned, depressed, and tired of conflicts. He comes to the point that he needs to change his attitude, morality, and way of thinking, of course. He needs to get out of the swamp of solitude and recover from devastating depression. In this state, he realizes that he has reached a dead end, and searching for a way out could be the last chance for him to overcome this heavy emotional breakdown. Lola's hidden passion for Gino has been glaring since their first day at school. Being sensual, sexual, and prudent, her possessive nature to own what she thinks is hers has been enhancing her drive to hit the nail on the head, own Gino in any way possible. Lola goes through turmoil of relations and unsuccessful marriages right after school. Every time she makes a decision to start up from scratch, she winds up realizing her obsession with Gino. Her blatant flirt with Douglas, even in the hope of winning Gino's attention and penetrating his thick-skinned ego, overfills her bowl of patience with frustration. Being completely lost in her cold girl lifestyle and in constant rebellion with her destiny, she feels that her morality changes to the worse. Her social environment consists only of either enemies or scumbags, and she's left with nothing to care about. She longs for peace of mind as never before. Douglas has gone through a typical thorny journey of an artist with only the ambition to climb up to the top of the Bahamian ladder. Although he's a gifted painter, his daydream nature, hesitant and uncertain personality, and biased outlook on life spurs the need to drastic changes, but his other timid me lives his development as an artist on a mainstream level. In his constant search for his own style and art, his indecisiveness lays traps for him to compromise. Drugs, jail, criminal social environment, loss of identity, and Of course, financial difficulties drive him to a critical condition, making him susceptible to suicide. Completely abandoned, blackmailed, humiliated, and distressed, his existence becomes worthless. His talent is buried under the piles of canvases where distorted shapes and colors still life. The lack of failed suicide gives him one last chance of a turning point to redeem himself and crawl out of miserable loneliness.
And said Jesus, "Truly I say to you, unless you are converted and become like children, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven."
They meet after 30 years at the riverbank, where the old half-sunk and for years abandoned wooden boat dock is tied to the big oak tree. It used to be their getaway place from school. An opportunity to get together after a long break is the gift of the Magi by the time at which they've been feeling the need for radical turns in life. Each in his own way, of course, but had no clue how. They hope that their reunion will bring about longed-for changes. Being in a helpless situation and speculating about the survival, each of them begins to have a vision of the experiences they have gone through as teenagers. Gino blames himself for being unable to avert the death of his beloved father during the war. Brutal rape during the war made teenage Lola plunge into the life of a cold girl she wants to flee. The war threw Doc into drugging misery, ruining his life and career and leading him to a suicidal attempt. Horrible memories of the past make Lola instinctively plunge into the stream to wake up. Gina, who could not help his father stay alive, once dives into a stream to help Lola and manages to temporarily tie her to the rock. But he sees that Doug is still on the raft, which clings to one of the rocks and for a second stops drifting. On the other hand, the raft is still moving, pushed by the stream while bound to detach at any time, and set on drifting along the river toward the wild stream. Gino, being a good swimmer, attempts to pull Doug off the raft just seconds before the raft bumps into the boisterous stream and smashes into pieces down the abyss. A fisherman finds their belongings under the oak tree and picks up a sudden call from Doug's bullies. He notifies them that all three friends drowned. Returning to the place of accident, covered by the thick foliage, the three friends seem to be alive and joking about the chance for a new start in life. I remember when staging one of my plays in the 1980s, action took place in a train, sleeping car, and the impression of the train moving with its stops was crucial for the play. So I spent hours in an open track of the car, shooting landscapes on a 12mm film to project it on a window-shaped small screen from behind, creating the atmosphere of a moving train. Of course, it was a hell of a job. To match the distance and lighting, scale it, and synchronize it, which we did manually, but the effect was rewarding. By the way, in the next scene, I needed to recreate the home ideal with the crackling sound of a big fireplace. And the solution discovered itself just by chance. When we tried to imitate the wood fire burning by a flashing background red bulb, we connected to the fluorescent lamp starter switch, and besides the regular flickering, the electric current began to interact with the speakers for the music background, producing so needed crackling sound. In recent years, we have witnessed dramatic changes in the visual effects industry, and the latest achievement was the ability to receive graphics in real time. Well-known studios around the world are already starting to use this tool. Today we are talking specifically about virtual production and its impact on the future of cinema. The advent of color and sound, computer graphics, chroma key, motion computer technology, a new approach to to 3D, all these innovations seriously changed the approach to filming. Predicting which technology will become revolutionary next is very difficult. But the use of game engines is already producing tectonic shifts in the film industry. The engine was used when filming Marvel blockbusters, the new Star Wars, and the series of Mandalorian. The approach allows to significantly save not only time and money, but also seriously helps actors. They do not lose the sense of presence in the scene, as is the case with chroma key. They always know where the horizon is and feel the lighting of them. And you don't even have to set up the lights on site because you get a lot of interactive light from the LED screen. So that is why the project is planned to be implemented with top-of-the-line cinematographic equipment with a minimal number of professional crew members shooting on locations. 70%, even more, of a film production is supposed to be accomplished in the studio using virtual reality, digital technology such as FX, 3D, SFX, and optical special effects, which dramatically cuts the production costs. The film does not require intensive mobility to numerous locations. Shooting location can be selected locally anywhere with mountainous terrain. The agile crew can handle the whole cycle from pre to post-production stages. And finally, if you plan to invest or become a producer of a film, we have a special offer and a surprisingly low budget to have the same outcome as a multi-million-dollar production. I think it is worth your while. For all other details, please visit my site. Thanks.